All right, guys, what's up? Today we're talking like balance on life, happiness, what makes you happy, the ups and downs, the appreciation of being happy when you have your lows. Kind of on the right page, aren't we?
Yeah, just, I think it's one of those things that doesn't really go unsaid, and sometimes we go too far one direction and we neglect the rest of them,
by chasing money and neglecting your health and your relationships.
Yeah, exactly. Or like,
and we're all being there, I feel like.
Totally. I mean, and even like when you're at the gym and you see guys that are just like, you can tell they're at the gym like probably like 6 hours a day, like every day, and you're like, well, that's cool, but like, I
was that guy in my early 20s.
What is it?
Amazing shape, but broke.
Yeah.
Bad relationships, but I looked amazing.
Yeah. So like,
but everything else lacked.
So what exactly? And eventually you always come full circle. You're like, well, it's never all about that. And it comes down to like more. There's just so much more depth to life than just looking good or,
And that's what I found is now in my 40s, financially better, this is better, relationships are better. And then I felt like I wasn't in as good a shape. But now I'm starting to pull it full circle.
Yeah.
So now I'm in shape, finance is good, relationships good, and I'm definitely feel happier and self-educating, I'm learning, trying to get that balance on everything and not pull too far in one direction where something suffers.
Totally.
And that's really hard to do.
It just takes a little, just like check in on yourself every week or, ask yourself, like, how are you feeling? And I mean, Matthew McConaughey, he just said it recently. He posted something about just writing it down, like journal it like once a week. It's nothing crazy. Just like, you don't even have to really do anything specific. Just like write down like how you feeling about yourself and what you wanted to change, or, do you feel good about the workouts? Did you do enough workouts? Did you feel like you could have did more? And then don't be harping on yourself, but go, okay, so I got to work on this next week. I need to maybe focus a little more on my workouts.
Self-awareness, right?
Yeah, like, maybe I need to, I'm not spending enough time with my wife, or, I've been neglecting that a little bit because I've been so focused on this. Just little notes just on yourself so you can kind of reflect. And then once you write it down, you realize those little subconscious thoughts were there the whole time. You just been kind of like not thinking about them or bringing them up to the surface. And
you could, I don't know if habits is the right word, but you have a set date night. You have your set gym days. You meal prep.
Yeah.
You work at these hours to this hour, especially if you work for yourself. This is the time I work. This is the time I switch off.
Yes.
Time I switch off is family time. You still kind of, would you say habits or?
It starts to become a habit, I think.
Yeah. But so you start to balance everything.
You can start by just kind of writing it down and being aware of it, right?
Yeah.
And then little by little, you'll start to, I wouldn't try to do a full like makeover on your life in one
minute
sitting.
by minute.
I would just do like one thing, like, hey, if I'm like not eating good enough, maybe let's try to not buy those chips that you've been buying, and let's just get more apples, right? Like just like do a simple thing and start.
Yeah, that's interesting. I got it like, because I work for myself in the morning. I got a set routine.
Yeah.
I get up, I get ready, go to a coffee shop, and I do 2 to 3 hours of the same work every single day. It's tedious, it's boring, but it's what it takes for me to be successful in my business. 5 days a week I'm at the gym. 2 days I got off. I fast 22 and a half hours a day. So all these little things.
Yeah, but it becomes your normal.
It's my norm.
You've done it long enough now where it's like you don't really think about it. You're like, oh, it's time to do this now. Right?
And that's what's allowed me kind of stay in shape, go to the gym consistently, work consistently, create a somewhat balance.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a perfect balance, but it's getting better.
Yeah. It's always getting better, right? We're never like there. We're just like a little better than we were like a few weeks ago, right? Like, and I think that's the goal, is just to evolve, to grow, And
everyone's like, I'm too busy, or I work too hard, or I haven't got enough money. That's where you've got to kind of tweak things, right? To change that.
Yeah, because I guarantee you, everyone has their habits, whether they're good or bad. And that's why I always just say, like, just kind of switch it out with something simple. Like, instead of trying to just change everything, like, just like, maybe, because I guarantee you, if you have bad habits, you're busy all the time, you pick that one thing out of the vending machine, it's probably going to be some chips or something, right? You could have just brought an apple with you, right? Just start with that one little thing. Just have that apple instead of, the chips.
Yeah. We talk about that a lot, like changing one variable.
Yeah, just one variable. Then all of a sudden that variable will start to lead to another one. And then another one. Then all of a sudden, a few years goes by and that's just your normal. And people are like, oh man, you're always just, you're always so healthy.
Yeah, you're just always on point, but you've instilled these little variables which are now habits on a consistent basis.
Yep.
my next variable I'm about to implement is meditation.
Yeah.
Because you've mentioned it. Every book I read mentions it. A guy I met yesterday mentions it. And I'm like, okay, this is my next variable. I need to add. I need to add to make this on a consistent basis because I know the benefit and I'm not doing it.
Yeah. And it starts small, man. You don't have to like go all in. Like
that's what a guy said yesterday. He goes, just do 10 minutes a day.
Yeah. You'll be surprised.
You guys surprised. Crazy.
Well, and you'll be surprised how like fast your mind drifts in that 10 minutes. You'll be like, I think my timer didn't go off. I feel like it's been like way longer than 10 minutes. And then you'll like look down, you're like, it's been 4.5 minutes. You're like, what?
Really?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be looking down anyway.
No, of course, but your mind will start to feel like this is like a long time, you know?
It's like when you first start doing cardio, I got to like stick a tower over the time because I'm like, I just watching the seconds. I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So for me, like fitness, finance, family, fun. That's my circle. That's my balance. What's yours?
Yeah, it's very similar. I mean, the three major ones are health, finance, and spirituality, but under that spirituality falls like my family or relationships.
Okay, so
I think it breaks down a little bit differently for everybody, because if you're married, then your marriage is going to be up there and those important things that you kind of need to be working on. If you're not married, then you have a little more time for probably like fitness or finance or relationships or lifestyle or whatever it is.
You're in your 20s. You probably it's a lot easier.
You can have whatever you want. Like it's not a matter of like taking things out of your life. Actually, it's a matter of increasing all those things in your life that bring that joy to your life. I would say it's about raising the frequency of all your experiences in your life, because that's what it's all about in the end, right? It's like you said, more experiences.
Yeah, that's so a lot of people chase money and they think that's what brings happiness. And I've made no money, I've made decent money, and it hasn't made any difference.
Yeah.
I had a business and it was passive, it was working by itself, I didn't have to worry about bills, I didn't have to worry about working, and it did make me happy. It made me not, if my car broke down, my battery died, I could just get whatever I need. Want to buy a computer, I could buy a computer. But it didn't make me happier. It made me free, but it didn't make me happier.
Yeah.
And what I found is experiences are so much more important to me than any money I've ever made. I remember the good experiences, the bad experiences more than I do any paycheck, any gig, high, low, whatever it was. And experience, like I was at the Rise Festival on Friday night. The lanterns, I was there for work. So cool. Amazing. I'll remember that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So something like that, I got paid for it and it was cool, but I made that happen, and that took years of kind of setting it up to be that way. But what I'm getting at is doing those festivals or doing those things that you enjoy, or those experiences are way more important than any money.
Yes, I agree with that. However, you still require some money to do all those things.
Yeah.
So like you get,
but rather than chasing $1 million,
I just want to be clear that like where you put your emphasis and where your goals are, and how you integrate what you integrate to your goals is extremely important as far as like what you're going to get out of it. Because if your goal is only to make money, you're probably going to end up kind of being kind of lonely and probably unhappy, like a lot of people who make a lot of money, because they just didn't have, I don't think they really defined it very clearly, like where they wanted to go. They're just like, I just want a lot of money. I just want to be rich. And you're like,
why?
Well, why? Like, where's the why there,
And if it's like, to travel, do experiences, like, well, do you really need to be rich to do that? Or can you start doing that now?
Sure. Yeah.
Or can you, do you need to make $100,000 a year, or do you need to make $1 million a year? Like, you don't always have to be.
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok and it was like people on their deathbed, like, and the things they talked about.
Yeah.
And it was like, I wish I worked less. I wish I like took time to appreciate life. I wish I spent more time with family. I wish I had less regrets. I wish I tried more things. I wish I didn't care about other people's opinions.
Yeah, that's always a big one.
It wasn't, I wish I made more money.
Yeah.
At all.
It's like, I wish I would have tried this business. I wish I would have taken this chance, or, and maybe that would have brought them more money, but it wasn't the money that was the regret. It was not taking the chance.
Yeah.
Right? Because really what you're doing is you're taking a chance on yourself. And that's what people regret, is not taking a chance on themselves.
Yeah. Believing in yourself, right?
Yeah.
And like putting the blinders up and not worrying about
and going
anybody
else. Because in the end, if you fail, so what? You won't regret it. And you'll learn so much, and you'll be different. You'll feel much different at your end of your days.
So hard to get past that, though, because school doesn't teach you it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
Life doesn't really teach you it's okay to fail. The only time you really realize it's okay to fail is when you start working for yourself and you start realizing that, hey, as long as I get back up, that's all that matters.
Well, like it's what what's his name? Andrew Tate kind of brings up the matrix, as he calls it, right? Like, I agree to a point. Like, you gotta start, when you start, learning about yourself or self-growth or whatever, you start to kind of see the matrix that's going on, right? You start to see the world that, like, it's all kind of just made up, like all these rules and social standards, and like even what we wear, right? It's all like made up. So I understand the rules, I know how to play by the rules, right? But it doesn't mean I necessarily have to like fall victim to all the things that come with those rules.
Falling victim to it is a big one.
Yeah, I don't.
Ladies never used to shave.
That what?
Ladies never used to shave their legs.
Yeah.
And that was just a marketing thing. And now find me one lady out there who doesn't shave.
Yeah.
How much money gets made per year?
Well, and to the point where it's changed our psyche, right? Like, we look. What if you see a girl with hairy legs?
It's weird. It's not right.
Yeah.
And that's just. There's so many things that have just been implemented through marketing that's become the norm that we don't question, and it's all about money.
Yeah.
And the shaving the legs one blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, like, it was just normal. I guess hair's supposed to be there for a reason, and but if you don't do it now, it's crazy.
It is, and there's so many things like that.
So many things
that exist that are just like these social rules, and those are like, I think that's what some of those things that Andrew's referring to as the matrix, which I agree to the point he's making. With that.
I was having a discussion last night. It's like it's from the age you're born, it's just implemented you. Wear the nicer clothes, drive the nicer car, have the bigger house, always competing with the Joneses. A new phone comes out, you got to have the newest, latest, everything. And it's very hard to break from that cycle because, especially in America, especially in Australia, it's embedded in us from an early age. And we tend to do it without even realize that we're doing it or question why we're doing it.
Yeah.
And something I kind of followed, like, especially the last couple of years, do I need it? Do I want it? And to me, that is huge. There's a brand new camera out right now. Do I need it? Is it going to change my business, or do I want it? And 9 out of 10 times I want it.
Yeah.
And that's just like that stigma, right? That embedding in you since you're born.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of capitalism in a way. Maybe it's gone a little far with some aspects of it, but you're trying to market, right, certain products, and you're trying to figure out ways to get people to buy them. Now, maybe some things are a little irresponsible on some sides, but it's also up to, that's the thing that's hard. It's up to the parents, and it's up to people that are more aware to help their kids understand the difference between wanting and buying, right? And
that's that saying, people who dress rich are broke, and people who dress poor are rich.
Yeah.
And I always look at like Elon Musk or Richard Branson or Mark Zuckerberg, they just wear regular clothes.
Yeah.
They wear less expensive clothes than you and I would. And they're billionaires. So when you start to realize who the people you should listen to, and you start looking at what they actually do, you know what I mean? It's
totally. I mean, they might have been wearing suits when they were first getting started to
But it's a suit. It doesn't mean it's like this $5,000 suit either, does it?
I agree. True. Very true. But I mean, yes.
It's always get caught up on that. Like your shirt, it's a plain black shirt, or it could have some expensive label on it. It'd be
doesn't matter.
$1,000 shirt, but still does the same job.
Yep.
And if someone out there cares about what shirt you're wearing, it's the wrong person to be caring about what you're doing, because they're not listening to what you got to say. They're looking at what you represent.
Yes.
It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, I know. And every time I go to the mall too, it's the same. You see the same stuff, right? Like if I'm grabbing some stuff or whatever, I'm shopping for Christmas, and you see people that, like, you can tell that's the most expensive thing they have. They paid a lot of money for like their bag and their shoes, and you try not to be judgmental, but you can tell they probably shouldn't have bought that stuff. Like,
especially when like 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
I always go back to that because it blows my mind.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It absolutely blows my mind. 8 out of 10 people. 8 out of 10, paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Whether you're making $500 a week or $5,000 or $500,000, you're still living paycheck to paycheck. buying a bigger, better things. And what is it like? We buy it on credit. We can't afford it.
Yeah.
It's nuts. And it's perception. It's driving a car you can't afford, living in a house that you don't need, wearing clothes that are too expensive, and then being stuck in that rat race.
Yeah.
It's blows my mind.
Well, that's one of those things, you know, when you're trying to move up to a different level in your life, maybe financially or spiritually or anything. And that's the one thing that holds people back the most, I think, is letting go of that stuff. Like, are you willing?
Letting go being the thing, right?
Are you willing to let go of that car that you own? Like, sell it, get rid of it, and get a little junker to, like, just so you can level up? Are you willing to do that?
That Dave Ramsey, do you like Dave Ramsey or not? A lot of people like him, a lot of people don't. But what I like about him is he goes, you got to not worry about what your family tells you, what your friends tell you, and you got to be able to scale your life back.
Yeah.
And if you go from driving that $50,000 car to that $6,000 junker, like you said, it's okay.
Yeah.
But now you have this extra range of income coming in that now you can do something more productive with. And it also makes you more free. If you're living in a house and you're like, hey, we could probably go into a unit and save half the money, do it. Totally. It's okay.
Well, even like there's some cultures, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately too, is like there's some cultures where the family like moves to, like, let's say they all move to America, right? And they all work together. Like, they get a house together, they save together, they go and buy businesses together. Like, they do all this stuff together because they're much stronger together, but they don't look like they have a lot of money. But then all of a sudden, 10 years later, they're like really wealthy. And you're like, well, they all have their own houses and they're all driving nice cars and they're all doing really well. And it's not because they came here and did anything illegal. It's literally because they came here and worked together as a team, where they all shared
way below their means.
Because first of all, that's all they could afford when they got here, right?
Yeah.
But they all just did it together. And then by all them working and paying less, they made money, they stacked, they stacked. They went and bought a business together and they bought another one. All of a sudden they're like, they have all these businesses and they bought all these things, and now they can go and they're all moving out and doing their own things, buying their own properties.
I like that, because like if you're making $30,000 a year and then all of a sudden you go to $50,000, all of a sudden you start living at $50,000.
Yeah.
And then you get from 50 to 70, you start living. Yeah. And that's rather than those $40 shoes, I'm going to get those $100 shoes. Rather than that $10 haircut, I'm going to get a $30 haircut.
Yeah.
And that's how you get caught up, and that's how you get stuck. And that's where it's easy to get stuck without even realizing why you're stuck. I'm like, well, why am I still broke? Why am I still got no money? I'm making more money, but you don't realize you're eating out more. You're going to nicer restaurants. You're wearing nicer clothes. But it's embedded in you. It's like, this is what you're supposed to do. And it's very hard to break what, like, society's, like, what's the right word?
I would go even further to say it's harder to break your already instilled habits. Because if you're making $30K but you're not saving anything to, like, buy an investment, you're not going to save when you get to 50.
That's a huge.
You're not going to save when you get to 100.
Yeah,
you're going to have the $30,000 mindset and habits that it's going to move. You're just going to be making $100,000 a year. You're going to just spend $100,000 a year.
I've heard that, actually. If you can't save any money at any income, you're not going to save when you make more money. You're not going to save it at all. Yeah. I like that. That's really interesting.
It's just simple habits.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
Yeah, easy to do, hard to implement, right?
Just like weight loss, just like anything, right?
Yeah. Because I guarantee you, most people are going to still, if they're making $30K a year, they're still going to have a smartphone. They're still going to be paying for that, data service. They're still going to have Netflix. They're still going to have, right? So all of a sudden you're like, at $30,000 a year, you really feel like those are the important things that need to be on the front side of your life? You don't think you could live without Netflix? You don't think you can go to the library and get a book or whatever, right? But and I'm not trying to judge. I'm just saying, like, those are the things that would need to be swapped out, right? Those little habits you need to change out, right? The Snickers for the Apple, the Netflix for maybe some books. Like those little things will switch. Then all of a sudden, like, you can scoop away $100 a month, right? All of a sudden, like, little by little, once you do it long enough, you don't even think about it. Like, it just comes out of your check.
Yeah, it's crazy. And even be like, over the weekend, made a couple grand doing work, but it's my money. That money does not have to go anywhere. Yeah. Because my little junky car's out there, my little unit's paid for. Yeah. I'm wearing just regular, normal clothes. Yeah. And that's my money. Yeah. I'm not like,
Target and Amazon.
Yeah. I mean, I just I didn't just make $2,000. I've now got to pay that car that I don't need. I'm like, that's my money.
Yeah.
And I love being able to do that. Any money I make for the rest of the month, that's my money.
Yep.
It's most money that people make is already spent, isn't it?
Well, that's what paycheck to paycheck is.
Yeah. Or more of it.
Yeah.
So that's nuts.
Yeah, and most people live by monthly expenses, right? So they go, okay, I'm doing about $4,000 a month, so I can afford up to $1,000 a month car or whatever. Like that's how people typically kind of figure stuff out.
Yeah, justify it, right?
Yeah, instead of maybe looking a little longer, like, okay, in 1 year, how much do I want to spend on a car, right, for the year? Because then you start to look at it a little differently. $1,000 all of a sudden becomes like $12,000 a year, and you're like, wait a minute, right? And then you put in the insurance, and you're like, wait a minute.
happiness for you. So
yeah, happiness is obviously never like, it's a fleeting thing, right? It kind of goes in and out. We don't feel like, even people that are super like enlightened aren't just happy all the time. They got stuff that's going on.
But social media will tell you different, right?
Yeah, social media will tell you different. You're going to be happy when you get that lipstick. You're going to be happy driving that Audi.
I had this conversation yesterday. It's like, everyone says, when I hit $1 million, I'm going to be happy.
No, you're not.
And then they realize, like, no, it never stops.
It's the same thing as like when you go from $30,000 to $100,000. If you don't have the habits of already doing it, it's not going to change. Like if you're not already happy and grateful and feel good about all the things that you have now, you're not going to feel any different when you have more money. Yeah. Actually, you're probably going to feel worse, because this is like something funny that I remember talking to somebody about. They're like, the homeless guy on the corner has money problems, and then like Warren Buffett has way more money problems that guy does. But whose money problems would you rather have?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, the stress that comes with it.
Yeah, like the taxes, the SEC. I mean, just all the different issues you're gonna have with having that much money, right? You have teams of people that you gotta that are probably calling you all the time to deal with some kind of money thing.
That's the thing I read recently was like, if you want to be really, really rich, you got to really, really, really want it. And that you got to know it's going to affect your relationship. It's going to affect your health. It's going to affect every single thing.
Sure.
So you got to really, really, really want that. And if you don't, it's okay. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And what I'm beginning to realize is like, I was chasing money, chasing this, but I don't necessarily need to make millions of dollars per year. I need to figure out what I want to make, how I want to make it being the more important thing. So doing this podcast, if I can make money doing this, that would make me super happy. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Doing what I do for work makes me happy. I like it. But when that changes, I'm going to change what I do to make the money. Just because it's making money, I'm not going to continue doing this unless I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to kind of get your head around that.
Yeah, you know, depending on how the bigger your goals, right? The bigger and further away that seems in your head, then that means you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of things to get there for sure. You know, I mean, you could look at it from, let's say, an athlete standpoint, right? You want to be a famous athlete. You want to be a Tom Brady. You want to be like even, Russell Wilson. You're going to have to put in so much work. When everyone else is out partying and having a good time, you're going to have to be working to get to that level. That's just the way it is. If you want to have as much money as Grant Cardone, you're going to have to work. Like, you're going to have to be gone. You're going to have to be doing stuff while everyone else is having fun and relaxing and enjoying experiences and going on helicopter rides. You're going to be working.
Yeah.
Right? So like, those are the things that you got to be willing to do. Now, how far you want or how high you want to go, that's fine. You just got to kind of put it all in perspective as far as like, is it going to really make you happy when you get there? Or is the money just the goal? Or is it to like leave a legacy with your family? Like, you got to have a bigger purpose, right? Than just your why has got to be more and integrated into your goal. It can't just be monetarily. It can't just be to impress society, because you're going to be left super like lonely, unfulfilled, 100%. And you see that with, I would say, 90% of famous people out there who thought they'd be really happy when they were famous and everything they were. And they get famous, and then they're the most grumpy people towards all their fans. You're literally making all that money because those fans are supporting you, because of those crazy fans that want your autograph and stuff it's crazy when they're not even like grateful for it, And
how many successful, famous people are depressed?
A lot of them.
It's scary, isn't it? And you see some guy who's got a family, takes his kids to soccer on the weekend, makes $30,000 a year, and he's biggest smile on his face.
Totally.
Living life till it's full and he's happy.
And I think those are the people that are living like they listen to their heart, right? And they follow their
very
heart.
Very authentic to themselves, aren't
and
they?
everyone's different. Like, I'm not going to convince somebody to do what I'm doing just because that's what I think is right. It's right for me. It feels right to me. It's not going to feel right to you, maybe, right? So, like, I do want to make a lot of money, but not to make a lot of money. Like, I want to be able to really help people. Like, I want to financially help people. I'd love to help all my family first. I'd love to help, my kids and my grandkids. I'd like to be able to help people that I don't know that need help. I mean,
you got a deeper reason.
I have a deeper, I really want to, because I actually, like, I feel it when I can't help somebody that needs help.
Gotcha.
Like, I feel it. I'm like, man, I wish I could help them.
I need to be in a better position. So
yes.
Yeah, that's a very
I don't even think about it.
reason, isn't it?
I want to be able to help.
Which is probably a good reason why you will make it happen, because there's a true deep meaning behind that.
Yeah.
It's not superficial. It's real as it gets. And I think by helping one person, you're like, well, that felt amazing. I want to do that again and again, and I want to do it on a bigger scale.
Yep.
Like you see what Mr. Beast. You watch much of Mr. Beast? You know who he is, right?
No.
He's the biggest YouTuber.
Oh, cool.
He makes bank, and he gives all his money away, and he puts all his money into the next video, and he's more successful than anyone else on YouTube, and he does not care about money.
Yeah.
He has thin margins, and he just gives back, and he helps people, and he influences people, and that's what matters.
You hear
and that's why he's going to be even bigger.
Yeah, I agree. And you
got
hear
a true feeling, a true meaning behind it.
You hear the really rich people, once they get to a certain level, they're like, it's just like a game. Like, the money's just a tool. Like, it's not like a thing.
Carnegie? Carnegie gave all his money back, right?
Yeah, his goal was to make $100 million and then give it all away. So he was going to make 100 million by 50, and then the rest of his life was going to be like giving it all away.
And he's got legacies, he's got
exactly
libraries, he's got monuments, he's got everything everywhere, which helps people for hundreds of years.
He's still helping people.
Yeah,
like, I've read his stuff. You know what I mean? Like
or you've been in his library or whatever it is, right?
Like, that's a big deal. That is cool. Like, that's moving the needle forward, right?
And for me, like, just being aware of it, I'm always trying to figure out what makes me happy, what do I not like, how do I get to do more of that. Am I chasing the money? Am I chasing the perception? It's tricky. It's this constant battle with yourself.
You're growing. Like, we're just always growing.
Growing being a good word for it.
Yeah, and like Jim Rohn said, like, it's funny that trees grow to just as much as they can grow. Animals, they grow to as big as they can grow and do as much as they can possibly do. Like, everything in nature grows or tries to evolve to its maximum capacity for the circumstances around, for water, air, soil, whatever. They do the best they can.
Yeah.
Only humans don't.
You think that's emotions?
It's decision. We have the option to be like, what?
Decision. We do, don't we?
Yeah.
Because we know, and no one else knows any different.
We can say, you wake up in the morning like, I'm just tired today. I don't feel like going to the gym.
Yeah, whereas an animal gets up, hey, I need to eat.
Or I'm embarrassed. I feel too fat to go to the gym. Or, I don't know anything about money. This stuff, even when I hear people talk about it, it's just like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm just gonna get a job over here. Like,
that's interesting, isn't it?
You make the decision, and I think people just make the easy decision, the instant gratification decision.
Absolutely.
It's easier to just pick up your phone than to like sit down and write your novel, right?
Absolutely.
Like, it's easier to pick up your phone and start scrolling through whatever instead of editing video.
I talk about this all the time, like consuming and not creating.
Yeah.
It's so much easier just to consume content opposed to doing this
so
and
only
creating content.
Humans don't try to grow and evolve. And so what happens to us, like in our situation, like you, sometimes you feel like you're not doing enough or you're not doing this. Well, that's a normal feeling. Everyone feels that. That's a good thing. The key is, like, can you look back at your week and go, well, I'm a little bit better than I was last week. Then you're growing, right? Am I a little bit better at this? Am I a little bit better at that? You just look back at your week and your month, your year, and you'll go, wow, I'm evolving. And you should be proud of yourself for that. You can't look at just the stuff you're not doing. You got to look at the stuff you actually are doing too.
I like that. And then in pushing yourself out of that comfort zone constantly, right?
Constantly. And always ask yourself, am I doing this because it's comfortable or because it's what it's going to get me to where I want to go?
I've had probably 3 people on here and they've said like, when it's uncomfortable or you don't want to do it, push into it.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's kind of stuck with me. Like, it's uncomfortable, push into it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a book I'm reading, Total Focus. It's a Navy SEAL. Oh my God, amazing. Cool. So one of his sayings is how you do anything is how you do everything. Love that, right?
Yeah.
How you do anything is how you do everything. You keep your house half-assed, your business is going to be half-assed.
Yeah.
Your fitness is half-assed. If you're giving 100% here, you need to give 100% the rest of your life. And I really like that. It's kind of made me a little bit accountable. I'm like, okay, I do this, and this right. I need to increase this, and this. Yeah. It's an interesting way of looking at it, isn't it?
Yeah, it pulls you away, gives you perspective on yourself, right? So it's like, wait, another way to kind of analyze how you're doing things.
And then like another thing he says too is excellence. Like SEALs are all about excellence. Not it's good enough, that'll do. It's like, no, this is the best I can do to my ability.
Yeah. And how many SEALs have come out and like become...
He's
that's sort of like a lot, right?
Because that mindset,
because the mindset is there, right? And to become a SEAL, you probably have to have a pretty strong mindset already.
I couldn't imagine how ridiculous that would be. Yeah, and all business is, all fitness is, it's all mindset.
I mean, they do like a Navy SEAL like mock thing. You can go and
do they?
You can go through the process.
Would be
I think
super interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how like accurate to like actually
talk
what
about
they
being
do.
Uncomfortable,
but I'd be down.
That would kick my butt.
Yeah, I'm old and I would try.
Yeah, but I mean, the growth you would get out of that would be
totally
incredible.
Yeah.
That's something else too. Is like looking for things, right? Like my TikTok is nothing but business, podcast, fitness, positive stuff that keeps me accountable.
Yeah.
It could be looking at stupid cat videos, right? And you can always find stuff to make you more accountable, push you out of your comfort zone, educate yourself. You kind of, same as my Facebook, everyone I follow is people I look up to. I don't follow stupid shit. I follow stuff that, you know what I mean? So you can create, even if you don't have the right friends or environment, you can create this like internal social environment that helps you.
It's like everything that comes on my feed is just like...
Probably the same thing, right?
Same thing, yeah. I could probably just sit there and walk around listening to it, and it's just all like people talking business or motivation or
just run your TikTok at the
philosophical
gym.
thoughts. Yeah,
little 30-second, 1-minute nuggets.
Yeah, and at least I'm getting that instead of just people dancing or stupid jokes. Or, right. So
that's.
Although I do think comedy is a great and very useful tool.
Yeah, absolutely. I love when I get the funny one here and there, and they're the ones I'll share. I share certain things with certain people, right?
Sure.
Fitness goes here, business goes here, silly stuff goes here.
Yeah.
And it's kind of knowing your friends too, like who's into what and having what conversations with what people.
Yeah.
All right, just to finish up. So what are we kind of getting at?
Yeah, I mean, recapping it all is simple. It's just think of like the different aspects in your life that you want to grow or that you feel are lacking. Like if you feel like you don't have a lot of good friends, you don't feel like you have a good relationship with your wife, like there's stuff you can do to work on that, like read a relationship book, read a book about how to, work on your, like
being humble enough to step back
and
like, hey,
and just go like, I need help. Like I've never, maybe you didn't have a good example growing up. Like I didn't, my dad was in prison when I was 5 and I didn't ever have a good example of a dad. So
really? Okay.
So I tried to learn.
So you would never guess that about you, right?
Yeah. And I feel like, when I think of me as a parent, I feel like I am doing pretty good, but I feel like obviously you can always do better. There's always little things that you can work on. And the stuff is always internal anyways. It has nothing to do with them.
What's your thoughts on that? Like say your dad's an alcoholic. Some people will become the alcoholic in the next generation. Some people will never touch alcohol.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, you could be a bad dad or you could be a really good dad because of what happened.
Sure, it comes down.
How does that kind of work?
It comes down to decisions. It's that human nature, that magical human gift we were given by whatever, universal God, whatever you want to call it, that gave us. Like we can make decisions. Like I think there's moments where you make a decision to just like, this is what I need to do. Or you say that is not going to work. I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to make other people feel like that. And you make a decision to go the other way. I mean, it's just decisions.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Cool. Yeah, so for me, summarizing, just money's one thing, happiness, but trying to balance everything. Like for me, health is your wealth. Health is number one factor, because you have all the money in the world, but money doesn't buy your health back.
Yep.
But you can't just be this buff dude with a six pack and be broke and have crappy relationships.
Yeah.
You need to learn how to balance it all.
Yeah. And watch porn all day and look at women like they're just sexual objects.
Like, and stuff, right?
Yeah. Like that's not going to work. You're never going to get the girl that you want.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. That's the thing too, right? You're not going to get the girlfriend or that wife.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. So we'll see you next time.